We are now near when this episode has just gone out. We are nearly 1/3 of the year has gone. 2024 has gone. So on this week's episode, I'm going to talk to you about your 2024 goals and how important it is to keep on top of those goals, and give you a few thoughts and suggestions on what might have happened if your goals aren't going where you want them to be and what we can do to rectify them. So look, we've reached, as I say, towards the end of April. And to end of the quarter, a third of the year is all gone. Doesn't time go by really quickly? And I guess one of the things that I wanted to do is to go back to talk to people about what you're doing to see where you are with your goals. And it was really interesting because I was looking at some goals that I'd set for myself, not just for 2024, but for 3 years ago. And I was looking to see how far I was towards those goals. And some of those goals I was really on track for, and there were others where I wasn't. And I guess that's one of the first things I'll say to you around 2024 goals and where you're at with things and to look at it is how many have you got? And one of the challenges sometimes that happens is, we all make them on New Year's Eve or the first week, but people put too many down. And there's a great Warren Buffett example that I was, there's an email that I subscribed to where Warren Buffett talked about people having, if you want to achieve something, write down 25 things that you want to achieve. And Warren Buffett then said, okay, once you've got those 25 things, I want you to circle the 5 that are the most important to you, so the most important goals that you have. And once you've circled those 5, someone said to him, what do I do about the other 20? He said, you don't touch them. They're not relevant anymore. Because the problem is, as human beings, when we try and focus on too many things, we ended up doing lots of things not very well. So I would even argue that top is 5 is quite punchy. If you've got 5 things you want to do, that's quite a lot. So, if you went through that task at, New Year and you created maybe 5 to 10 goals that you wanted to achieve, maybe write down a circle, go back, look at that list and write down and look at the 3 that you think were the most important to you. What were the ones on that list which were the priority ones? And then accept that you're going to put your all into all of those goals and to make those your focus and ignore the other 7 or the other 10 or however many there were. By the way, if it's good enough for Warren Buffett, if you don't know who Warren Buffett is, have a look at him. One of the greatest investors ever in the world, owner of Berkshire Hathaway, just, a genius when it comes to man in terms of a humble man, but a brilliant man. So I think his focus on being able to have the right amount of goals in the right amount of things to focus on is a good thing to do. So maybe have a look back at your goals and see where you are with them. The other thing I'd say to you is, when did you last look at your goals? A lot of people talk about looking at goals and focusing on them on a daily basis, which I quite like, actually. And I'll talk about how I utilize tools to engage with my goals. But if you don't monitor your goals, I would minimum say monitor your goals on a monthly basis. So write down what it is that you want to achieve, and then, identify then the plan that you're going to put in place to make that happen. But then review at the end of the month and find out where you are with that goal. What's stopped you from making that progress happen? But at least look at it monthly. And I would even encourage you to probably think about it on a weekly basis or even daily basis. And I'll explain why in a moment. But minimum, try and look at it on a monthly, maybe quarterly if you operate quarterly, but minimum monthly. So my question to you is, how often are you reviewing your goals? When was the last time that you reviewed your goals? Do you even have any goals? And if some people say to me, no, I don't have any goals at all, and that's fine. And that's okay. At least that's your choice. That's your call. But if you're in the sales and business world, I always say to people, would you expect a ship to leave the shore and leave a port without going where it's going to go? No ship just said, I'm going to have a wander into the sea and see what happens. Ships that wander aimlessly tend to get, hit by the rock, caught onto the rocks or captured by pirates because they just wander aimlessly. Ideally having a plan and a focus for what we want to achieve is a good thing to be able to do. So review them on a monthly basis, ideally, maybe even weekly, if not daily. The second point is to also then write down and look through, why are you not achieving those goals? And one of the things that is, I believe, the biggest reason why people don't achieve goals is because they don't build the correct habits over a period of time. And if you look at why you're not achieving your goals, I would encourage you to be able to assess and understand why that is. And my gut feel is you probably started for 4 or 5 days or 6 days doing something, and then life got in the way and other things happened and you lost the discipline and the consistency to continue on with the goal. And by the way, I know all about this stuff, by the way. I'm not sitting here as some paragon of virtue thinking I'm the perfect person at achieving every goal. Am I balls? I'd be 12 stone or 14 stone and have written 10 books and, everything. If it was always that easy, definitely, things I wouldn't be, I would not sit in here as a perfect person for that. But I wanted to let you into a little tool that I'm using at the moment that I think is even really powerful for me this year. And it's a little app, and I'll share it on, for those who are watching on the video, it's a little app called Reach It. And I'm going to share it on here so you can see it, but you won't be able to see it. But go out to, I'll put a screenshot up so you can see it. And what I have on Reach It is a series of goals that I'm trying to do to achieve my bigger goals. So what I've tried to do is I've tried to break down my goals into some, so for example, let me give you an example of that. One of my goals that I had was to increase revenue from a course. And so therefore, one of the things I was saying, okay, is what is the course that I'm going to create? So I went back through a process of identifying the course that I was going to create. And then there was some work that I had to do to make that come to life. And as I say, I had to do that work, and I get caught up with other things and get busy and doing customer meetings or whatever else. So I was like, right, I need to do something daily on this. So I have on my Reach It, to do 30 minutes of work on this course every day. And I've had that for the last 6 weeks. And if you look at the stats around that particular goal, I'm in really great shape. So for the last 6 weeks, I've continued, you see it on it, I've continued to be blue. I've continued to do the task every single day. And when I look at now the task and the goal for what I'm doing, I'm further forward down the line than I was. So even though we've still got a bit of work to do to complete that part, I've nearly completed it because I've been just chipping away at it by doing 30 minutes every day. And I give myself, there's two options to be able to do this as a carrot or a stick approach. But for me, I've sort of now built this habit. And my wife thinks I'm a bit mad sometimes, where I'll get home at 9 o'clock at night and we'll just be for dinner or whatever else. And she'll say, right, you want to chill out? It's like, no, I've got to get my piece of work done on this. And she's like, are you crazy? I'm like, no, I can't let a day go by now where I don't get that task done. And I've built what I call chains. So I build something called chains where I try and add multiple days together because I know that it takes 66 days to build a habit. And once you've built a habit, there's actually a period after 21 days where your mind starts to get into the process of it. But 66 days to build a habit. So I know that if I can build this habit for 66 days, then it'll just become part of me. It'll be who I am. I know there are certain habits I have. I get up every morning and I take my vitamins just because that's just the habit I've built now. So, cold showers in the morning, for me, I've just built the habit. So when you build a habit, it just becomes part of your daily routine, and good habits are great things to build. So I've just built these habits and I don't want to let the chain drop. So I don't want to see on my screen. So again, I'll go back to what I was just showing everyone. If you're watching on the videos, you won't see this, but I'll put I don't want to see that go red. So red equals a fail. I don't want to see it. I just want to see a continual chain of blue. And it's become a bit of an addiction. I'm not going to lie. It's become a bit of an addiction to me now where I think I've got to get that work done. So my key thing is to try and download it and Reach It. It's free. I think it costs £15 for the year, but it's free to do 7 tasks a day. And just try and build that little chain up of doing those little things. And again, start by doing 15 minutes a day on something, if you or 20 minutes a day on something or whatever it is, and build that consistency. I've read so much over time about how motivation will come and go. What happens when we have goals? We're motivated initially, but everything I've read and everything I learned from really successful people is that motivation will wane, but discipline doesn't. David Goggins, Andy Frisella, all these people talk about building disciplines, just building that daily habit. I'm going to do it and committing to do it. And once you start that commitment going, you'd be amazed at actually the reaction, the response you get, and what you can do for yourself. And I drive that and make that consistency and that discipline your factor that you're going to do. And if you can build that chain, it'll help. And one of the other things that, again, are great ideas that you can use is carrot or stick approach. So say to yourself, if you do 6 days of something or 7 days in a row or whatever, I don't know, whatever your mini goal is, then reward yourself with something. Maybe reward yourself with a night out, or have a nice meal, or buy yourself something, a new top or dress, or item of sports equipment that you want or whatever. So reward yourself. So use carrot as a reward. Or the other alternative is, and I heard this morning from a course that I'm on, I thought it was brilliant. They said, pay yourself a penalty. So, for example, there was a man in America that if he didn't achieve his tasks for the goals that he set for the week, had to donate money to Donald Trump. He had to. And he couldn't stand him. Can't stand Donald Trump. He thinks he's an idiot. like a lot of people do. And he literally had to donate £20 into Donald Trump's campaign fund. And I was thinking, wow, what a really good way of doing it. What a good incentive. Or, if you had to donate to someone politically that you hated or disliked or wasn't for you, or a cause that you weren't sure about, or then wouldn't that be a good incentive to make you not do that? So sometimes those sort of mini goals, those carrot or stick goals, are things that we need to be able to look at ensuring that we take the action. But the other final thing that I will say to you is what has stopped you doing it? What's stopped you? And go back to your why. When you created that goal in the first place, you would have had a why. You would have had a reason as to why that was so important to you and what it was going to give you and your family or you personally. And what I would encourage you to do is to go back to that why. When I, again, anyone that knows me, I love my food. Keeping a control of my weight has always been, something I've challenged with. But when I look back and when I have those times when I'm not feeling in the mood for something, I look back and think, why am I doing it? And I suffer from arthritis in my knees. Being more weight than I should do is not good for my knees, and it gives me pain. And I've started to record, since I've been in better habits and better practices, I've started to record my knee pain daily, and I'm seeing that with the days where I'm healthier and doing the better habits and the better things, I feel better and my knees have less pain. So that's the reason why it's my why. So every time I'm thinking of doing something else, I go, actually, is that going to help me with my why? Is that going to help me? No, it's not. So go back to your why. What was the reason why you created that goal? And then try and put that goal maybe up in your, in your house, or maybe in areas of your house. Put a printout of the goal. There's 2 or 3 simple goals. Put them on your phone, put them in your wallet, your purse, your handbag, whatever, to make sure that you've got, and you can look at them at all stages and remember that that's the goal you're working for and the why you're doing it. Because it's generally our why. It's that intrinsic motivation that we have, that we always want, that motivation to do something. And if you can combine that why with the ability to be disciplined on a regular basis and to build that consistency, but also then review things on a, day. That's why I review it daily, because I want to hit the goals that I've got daily, but at least look at it weekly or monthly. You can see where you're struggling. What are the trigger points? What are the points where you didn't achieve something? Is that because you were maybe out doing something and drinking, or was that maybe because you were exercising, you were tired, or what was the reason why you stopped doing something? And then, work out which one was more important to you. Is it the short-term thing that you want, or is it the longer-term goal that you want to achieve? And that consistency, that element of doing things over a period of time is what's going to ultimately get you the results you want. Every time I listen to people that are successful, they say to, Alex Hormozy, said it the other day, people ask, why I'm successful, it's because I did the simple, consistent things time after time when no one was looking. It's that consistency of doing things that will work and make a difference. So look, those are my thoughts on 2024 goals. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. How has 2024 gone for you and your goals? Have you achieved what you wanted to? Did you have any in place? How often are you checking them? How often are you on track to achieve them? Are you on track to achieve your goals? If you are, fantastic. What have you done that's kept you on track of those goals? What's been your motivation for that? I'd love to know what's driving you to stay consistent to those goals. And if you're not, then tell us what's going on as well. What's stopping you from making those things happen? Because, all insights are great fun. And as I say, I'm not sitting here as some person that's completed every goal. Oh, I missed damn. There are things that I fail at a lot of the time. When I look back, I always think, what's my why for it? Was it enough? Or maybe I was just too optimistic. I had 5 and 12 goals in there of trying to do this, and this. And realistically, there are other things that are more important. So go back to that Warren Buffett exercise to do that as well. But that's what I think to achieving 2024 goals. Be interested to know what you think to that. But as I always do, I finish the podcast on an inspirational story. And I'm going to link this story today to an incident that's happening in the UK in 2024 and to a guy called Alan Bates, actually, who is in the UK. There is a big scandal at the moment around some people in the post office, which is how mail used to be sent, who, unfortunately, there were some people that used to be what they called sub-postmasters or employees of the post office that were wrongly accused of fraud. And there was a scandal basically where the post office tried to cover up this fraud and these bugs in the system. And this guy, Alan Bates, for 20 years campaigned tirelessly to basically get what was right and to rectify the wrong. And I guess the reason I'm putting this now is I think it's an inspirational story of what he did, and there's been a TV program created about him now, and obviously trying to solve that issue. But it's a classic example of how he had a goal to achieve, which was to wrong what he felt was, to find justice for what he wanted to. And he kept on fighting for it, and he was consistent, and he kept on chipping away and chipping away and chipping away, and eventually he got his result. And I guess I wanted to use that in today's podcast. I think it's the perfect episode and example to give you that sometimes we've just got to keep digging. We've got to keep pushing. We've got to keep nudging forward and chipping away at things and build that consistent chain to achieve our goals. They're not going to come overnight, but if we want them enough and we believe in them enough and we do enough work consistently for them, then we'll get where we want to get to. So, yeah, Alan Bates is my story. You'll have seen him. If you haven't, then have a little look at him and search for what he did. But I hope his story and his inspiration could be inspiration to you to achieve what you want to and to make whatever you want is in your life to be come true to make it happen. So that's it for me. Thank you so much again for listening to the podcast. If you have enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, tell other people, review it, share it. We want to get the podcast numbers up so I can get more guests and do more episodes that can help you to achieve the results you want. That's my single mission and goal. So I hope this one's helped you. Let me know how your goals are getting on. Reach out to me on social media. Let's get the conversations going. And until next week, thank you. See you then. Bye.